So today we are talking about Antarctica, something that is on the bucket list, I would say, for most people, but it's one of those places that has a lot of questions come up. And so we thought today we'd get one of the experts to have a chat with us about some of the questions and what to expect with Antarctica. So thanks, Stephen York from Hurtigruten has joined us today. So thanks, Steve, for being here.
My pleasure.
So, Steve, we're talking about Antarctica. I think most people would kind of know why Antarctica, but do you want to just give us your quick, 1 or 2 minutes about why someone should really go to Antarctica?
Just 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah. Look, Antarctica is such a fascinating destination, and it's really had a bit of a resurgence in recent times because it is becoming one of those bucket list destinations where if you haven't been there, you need to go down there at least once. And I promise, once you go down there once, you probably will want to go back again. It is such an incredible experience because it is such, it's the edge of the planet. This is the edge of the planet tourism. And it offers so much in that it is such a unique landscape. Obviously, it's not without its challenges in getting down there. But once you are there on the seventh continent, it is just mind blowing. Particularly things like the sea life, the wildlife down there, the seals, the whales, the penguins, the opportunity to go hiking up mountains down there, the glaciers, the ice, the landscape is just absolutely stunning. And the opportunity to go and do incredible experiences like kayaking between icebergs or spending a night camping out on the ice, or of course the ever popular polar plunge, where you get the opportunity to jump in the water. There's a lot of activities to do, and it's also important that these activities and that the tourism down in Antarctica is done in a responsible and sustainable way. And Hurtigruten, as such, is the world's leading sustainable cruise operator. We've done a lot. We've made a lot of steps, and we sit on a lot of committees internationally to guide and to ensure that all operators to Antarctica are acting responsibly. And it's quite interesting. Like the CEO of our expedition brand actually sits as the chairman of the board for the International Antarctic Tourism Operators, and so we are actively involved in making sure that what happens in Antarctica is responsible. So yeah, it's an amazing destination. It's the wildlife and the landscapes and the activities that you can do down there are just mind blowing. So yeah, I'm a big advocate.
Obviously, well, it's pretty good content to work with when you're talking about a destination, isn't it? So, one of the questions that I get a lot, or I see people come up with a lot, is who do I go with? There seems to be an explosion of operators that are going to Antarctica now. Can you talk a bit about Hurtigruten? Why Hurtigruten? Like, why would a traveller that's thinking about going to Antarctica, why would Hurtigruten be the perfect fit for them?
Yeah, sure. Look, I mean, we've got a lot of history in expedition and exploration travel. Hurtigruten's been around since 1893. We're in our 130th year of operation. And the history of Hurtigruten itself is fascinating in terms of how it started in Norway and how we started. We started doing expeditions in 1896, where they created these incredible journeys up to Svalbard. But if you look along the timeline of Hurtigruten, there is some really significant steps that Hurtigruten took in terms of developing exploration travel to where we see it now and what has evolved over the past 30 years, say, in becoming its own segment in the market. Really, we've been doing it for 130 years. But I think there's important things about being mindful. Mindful adventure is one of the phrases we use around it. And on board our vessels in Antarctica, guests can travel with the peace of mind that comes with sailing to one of the most delicate, fragile environments in the world. And we don't just do Antarctica in terms of polar tourism and traveling to fragile environments. I mean, we do Patagonia and the Galapagos and Central America, plus up into the Arctic and the Northwest Passage. We travelled to all corners of the globe. And you've got to be very careful with how you do that. So, in terms of Antarctica and the experience that you're putting together for your clients, and travelling on Fridtjof Nansen down to Antarctica next year. Fridtjof Nansen was voted by the Stern Awards, a big German tourism awards or cruising awards. It was voted as the most sustainable ship in the world. And so there's some incredible assets around that, that ship in terms of the hybrid. I guess the hybridization is probably most important about the ship, because it has two massive electric power cells, battery power cells, like great big Duracell batteries in the bottom of the ship that are constantly recharging and being used, and they contribute to a 20% reduction in overall emissions. However, the ship can actually function on those power cells independently of the motors. And so the captain may decide, when you are travelling through a particularly serene environment, to actually turn off the motors, encourage everyone to go on deck, and then turn off the motors, and they just glide through the ice, and it's completely silent, and it is just sublime, the experience of doing that. But not only that, I mean, we're also involved. I mentioned before that we sit on a number of boards and head up a couple of the boards in Antarctica. But we also engage people with science in the region. So we have these centres on our ships called our science centres, funnily enough. But the science centres become the social hub of the ship, because what happens in these science centres is that they are live science laboratories. So you have these workstations which are state of the art with microscopes on them and wet sample areas. And we conduct scientific research on every expedition cruise that we do. So what might happen is that you might go out kayaking or one of the rubber inflatable boats during the day, and the expedition hosts will be engaging people in these projects. And so you might go and collect phytoplankton samples or some seaweed or some ice samples. And you'll take them back onto the ship to the science centre. We'll then go and analyse them, record the data, look at them through a microscope, and all in quite a social environment as well. But that research, that ongoing research, is incredibly valuable for the region as well. So it really engages everybody in the science research that's happening, but it's fun. And not only are we doing that, of course, you are doing all of your other activities as well. So you might be going out, like I said, doing kayaking or on a rib boat for the morning. And then in the afternoon, you might be going onto the ice and going for a hike. We have lectures. In our science centres, we also have regular lectures, which are done by our expedition experts. And they might be talking about environmental issues, or just about what you're seeing in the region that you're in, or things to look out for. And you can go and sit in the science centre and lecture. At some point during the day, you're also probably going to have a meal. So there's, the end of the day, people don't tend to stay up really late on these cruises because they're tired, because they've had such a busy day. So yeah, it's an incredible adventure, but it's also a busy one. People will get so much out of being in Antarctica. It's just a mind-blowing destination. It really is.
Sounds pretty good.
Did that answer the question?
I think you've answered a few of my questions, actually. Just back to the ship you mentioned, the Fridtjof Nansen.
Yes.
So what the hybrid ship, the amazing that you can sail in silently. Obviously, there's environmental factors there, which is fantastic. But obviously, Antarctica is not generally cheap for a traveller as well. So people do want comfort, and they want to know that they're going to, enjoy the sailing and their accommodation for that period. Can you tell me a bit about, talk about, I guess, the general facilities that people can expect, dining, anything else around?
Yeah, look, it's the cruise ship, and particularly the ship that you selected with Fridtjof Nansen, it's premium comfort and premium facilities. So firstly, in terms of food and dining, everybody wants to know what we're going to eat when we're on board. There's always 3 options on our expeditions, and it starts off. And firstly, I'll also say that it's always casual. The expeditions, there's not going to be any dress-up night. You don't need to take your fine dining outfit or your best frock. So it's very, very casual. and very relaxed. But there are several different dining options, and we don't have any stage shows on at night. There's no cheesy entertainment. It's all about education, not entertainment as such. But education in itself is entertaining. So yeah, so you've always got your main, sorry, your basic dining, your casual dining. So like a bistro type of thing where you can get a bowl of chips and a lemonade. And then there's the main dining restaurant, which most people have most of their meals in. And then we have a fine dining restaurant, which is absolutely stunning. And the food and the quality of what they serve there and what the guests eat. It's included for all suite guests. So if anybody is interested in a suite, you get the fine dining every night. If you want to upgrade a couple of your meals to do, if you're in the main dining but you want to have a couple of special meals up in the fine dining, then that's an option that you can do as well. So plenty of great food on board. Really nice casual areas as well to sit down and just gaze over the landscape that you're sitting in or going through. But then there's also other modern facilities. I mentioned the Science Centre already. There's always a fully equipped gym, really modern gym on board. There are hot tubs. From our Scandinavian heritage, Scandinavians love their hot tubs and their saunas. So we've got hot tubs and saunas on all of our ships. And on the Fridge of Nansen, you've also got an infinity pool. Where the guests can actually go for a swim, looking out, and it's like over the edge of the pool and looking out at the icebergs and the mountains. It's quite stunning. So yeah, and there's always plenty to do. But yeah, like I said, the food options are just they're fantastic. You will eat very well. Eat very well because you'll be hungry too. But you can also go and get a massage too. We've got a nice sort of spa type of treatment centre as well for massages and they do yoga on board. And there's a running track on this ship as well. You can actually run around the top deck as well. If go for a run out in the 1 degree heat is your thing, then that's certainly an option available to you.
Okay, fantastic. Sounds like taking the comforts of a larger cruise ship and putting it into an expedition vessel.
Yeah, look, I heard somebody recently. I was watching a presentation recently, and they said it's very much like going out and adventuring and exploring on your expedition, and really getting out to the wilds, and then coming back at night to your chalet. It's very much like that sort of sense of community, because everybody else has been doing the same, and everybody's got great stories about what they did during the day. But it's not overwhelming in terms of you're not there with 1,000 other people. You're there with sort of more smaller, intimate type of groups. You get to know a lot of the people, and you get to meet a lot of the people through the science centres as well, and the expedition host. And that's something I haven't really spoken a lot about, but I believe our expedition hosts do really elevate the experience for everybody. Now, there's 30 to 40 of these expedition hosts aboard every voyage. Okay, so you probably have somewhere around about 35 down there. Now, these are the guys that will take you out onto the boats. They'll lead you into the kayaks. They'll take you ashore and onto the hikes. They'll help you set up the campsite if you're one of the people that's lucky enough to camp on the ice for the night. But they also give lectures in the Science Centre, and you can also go and have dinner with them and really and pick their brains. These guys have all got science backgrounds. They've got an incredible amount of training, but some of them are actually scientists. They have science degrees as well, and they are so invested in the destination that we're going for. This is where we're going to. This isn't just Antarctica. This could be Northwest Passage or the Faroe Islands, for example. But they're very invested in those regions, and their knowledge is phenomenal. So you will learn a lot from these people, and you can bail them up for a chat in the Science Centre, or you can go and have lunch with them if they're free. So they really add a lot to the journey, and most of our expedition hosts are actually employed on a full-time basis by Hurtigruten. It's a little bit different to the way some expeditions run, where they get contractors in who go from cruise lines. Our guys are employed, so they're on the same roster as the rest of the crew, and they're there to enhance the experience for everybody on board. So yeah, it's a real. I think they add an incredible amount of value for our guest experience.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. That sounds good. So there's a lot of passion behind it all. Fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah, and they're all have real consciousness around sustainability and doing the right thing in the areas that we're in.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. The next sort of question that I hear a lot is around what do we do? You know, the Drake Passage is generally 2 days there, 2 days back. It's rough. What happens on those days? What does that look like? And then probably after that, then what do the days look like when we're actually around the Antarctic Peninsula and doing landings, etc.?
Well, look, inevitably, travel is not without pain. And the Drake Passage, I think if I go, because they call it two things, they call it the Drake Lake or the Drake Shake. Inevitably, if I went, it would be the Drake Shake in both directions. But what I usually hear is very common sort of response to this is that they had it really calm on the way over, really choppy on the way back. And yeah, by choppy, it's it can get rough down there. But our ship takes a maximum of 500 people down to Antarctica. We're a category 2 operator on the Bridge of Nansen. And so that means it's a little bit bigger than some of the smaller boats that do it. So just by the virtue of the size of the ship, it's able to cope with the waves better. We have very good stabilization. These ships are state of the art. These ships have only been in existence for about 3 or 4 years, so they're very new builds. And the stabilization on board is very good. Now, some people who I wish I was one of the people that just says, "Oh, I don't mind if it gets rough. I'm fine." I don't. I get really sick. So it's all about your preparation. It's all about having the right medications. There are medications on board which you can get as well if you really need them. Generally, if people are unwell, you don't see much of them. They just stay in their cabin for a day or so, and you get through it lying down, not eating a great deal, but everybody gets through it. And it's just so worth it once you're there. Because once you're actually into the vicinity of the peninsula, everything just settles down, and you go outside, and it's like, wow, we are here. So I think a lot of it is about preparation. I think you've got to be well prepared. That's certainly how I approach it. And there's things you can get, wristbands and other things that go behind the ears, and various strengths of medications, which I always go for the most powerful, better.
But life is interesting, isn't it? Where you've got to do the work in life, and I think about Antarctica. The work is the Drake Passage, and then you get to an absolute pristine wilderness. And life is all about balance. You can't just have it all easy all the time. So it's like it's your ultimate reward of doing the work.
Yeah, look, for the privilege of being in that incredible environment, that incredible pristine environment, as you put it, there's a price to pay. But you might be fortunate as well and just have really calm sailing conditions the whole way there and back. It's hard to call. It's just weather. So one way or another, you can't avoid it. You have to go across the Drake. But when you get down there, so typically, I think I talked a little bit about it, but day-to-day life once you're there is in, like I said, people are busy. There's generally sort of 5 main groups in rotation, and you just rotate from one activity to the next. So you start off with your brecking. Your first thing might be that you're going to go out on and do a landing. And the way our ships are designed, we have a fold-down deck that comes out of the ship, and the expedition crew will have the rib boats all lined up there, and people will go in. You can only have 100 people on the ice at any one time, and that's one of the rules that we set as being part of IATO. But it's quite simple because we just jump onto the boats and then we go over. Now, there's no piers or fixed structures. So it's up to the expedition host. Usually they would have gone out early to check where the best areas are for landings, where are the best conditions, and they'll take you out and they'll give you the boots and poles or whatever you're going to need for your adventure, and they'll take you over to the ice. Now, that might last a couple of hours, and then you'll come back, and let's say you're back on board by 11:30, 12 o'clock, might be lunchtime, or there may be a lecture happening in the Science Centre that you wanted to catch, which, by the way, you can watch those lectures in your room as well, in your cabin as well, because they'll be broadcasted onto the in-house system. But then you might be going out onto just rib boats. I shouldn't call them rib boats because it's rubber inflatable boats. But you know what I mean, the boats. You can go out onto the boats and go ice cruising, and that is phenomenal. because you go out and you'll wander through the little broken up bits of ice and get really up close to the front of the glaciers, but you'll also get up close to the wildlife. You get up close to the whales. And the whales, once they've got through the first part of the season, the November part of the season, when they're down there for other reasons, they become much more inquisitive and friendly as you go through the season. And so you will get up really close where you'll literally have whales going next to you, or you'll be going up close to the shoreline and maybe seeing the sea leopards or the penguins. And there's so many different types of penguins. So there's a lot of wildlife that you'll really get up close and personally. And just the landscape, going up close to the glaciers and hearing or watching the ice shearing off as it goes through its melt over summer is amazing. I spoke to somebody just the other day actually who was down there last season, and she said they were on the rib boats and they were just coasting really quietly and gently, not very fast at all. And then just to the left behind them, you this where a whale was breaching, coming up, blowing off the stem, then leaping up. She said it's just the most magical moment she's ever experienced in her life. It was just incredible. So those sort of surprise things that can happen, surprise events that can happen, just incredible. Similarly, I think the kayaking is incredible as well. But I struggle to sort of put myself between the icebergs and visit the kayaking itself. But yeah, what a lot of fun. How incredible.
Yeah, awesome. You said about the boarding the boats. A common question comes up is that if people have got slight mobility or just thinking, I don't know how I'd go getting in and out of those boats. It sounds like the design of the ship has tried to help that as much as possible.
Absolutely has, yeah. The only people we can't take onto the ice are people that are in wheelchairs. So everybody else, we will get them onto the rib boats and over to the landings.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. That's good.
And that's our expedition hosts who are trained in getting everybody around.
Yeah. Okay. Great. What are some other questions that commonly come up, Stephen, around Antarctica for you that you think might be beneficial for our clients to understand?
Well, I think we've covered a few of them. Some people think because this ship is a 500, so there's Category 1 and Category 2 ships, and Category 3. So Category 3 are the big wide ships, and they carry over 500 people, and they can't get off. So they will go down to Antarctica, and they basically look at it from the deck. Category 2 is anybody that's 500 below 500, I should say, capacity, and we are permitted to go out onto the ice at least once a day. And then Category 1 are the ships that are under 200 people, and they can go on 1 or 2 times a day onto the ice, 1 or 2 times. But I think where we sit in Category 2 with a ship up to 500 people is I think it's the best mix. To me, it's the best mix of the ability to do all of the activities, to have the access to get into all of the different places that you want to get into, but also to have enough variety in what you do every day. And like I said, you get the opportunity to go onto the ice at least once a day. And on some occasions there'll be 2, but usually it'll be once a day. But there's just so many other things to do that people will be busy. Like I said, people are too tired to hang around and stay up at the bar all night because they just want to go to bed, and they want to get ready for the next day because the next day it all starts again, and you get to do another full day of activities.
Okay, fantastic. A question that I just remembered actually was I've had a few times is just around clothing and gear, and how much is involved there? What do they need to think about?
Yeah, sure. So firstly, you'll see, if you look on our website, you'll see that all of our expedition guests get a couple of things from Hurtigruten. Number one is the red jacket. So you get a red jacket and you get a water bottle because we don't have any single-use plastics. We banned single-use plastics back in 2018. So we give everybody a really good quality water bottle to fill up on board. The jacket that we give our guests, the red jacket, is not a warm jacket. It's a weather jacket. Okay, so it's just there to keep water and wind out.
Yep.
So inside, as with anywhere, any travel to a cold climate, you're dressing like an onion. So you need lots of different layers. So yeah, certainly. I mean, in summer we're talking, it gets up to, in the warmest period, 1 to 3 degrees. So, and that's with or without the wind blowing. Yeah, so you need to have warm core, then next layer, and then really warm on top, and keep the extremities protected. So head, hands, feet is always important to wherever heat can leak out of your body, have something there that you can protect it with. So some nice warm gloves, particularly some sort of weather gloves. And lots of people get the sort of the hoodie cover type of jackets to keep the head and the ears warm. Ears do tend to freeze off. But otherwise we'll give people the jacket. As far as things like boots, poles, cramps, or whatever we need to, or snowshoes, those sort of things, that's provided on an online basis. Very strict cleaning protocol as well before going into the ice, and when coming back from the ice, that must be thoroughly clean, and there's a protocol around that. But yeah, we supply all the other that people would need. So I told you about the camping, didn't I?
Yes.
So yeah, so that's a ballot. It's always oversubscribed, but people will literally go and camp out, have a night camping on the ice overnight, which is mind blowing. I don't know what to do it, but but a lot of people want to do it. I guess it's just that, again, bucket list sort of things.
Yeah, very unique experience. So I can understand why it's so popular.
Yeah. Sure.
So just back on gear, you talked about boots. You supply?
No, boots are loaners.
Loan.
So yeah, so the things we give people is the jacket and the water bottle. Everything else, like the boots or poles or snowshoes, those sort of things, that's all managed by us. We loan that to people.
Right. Okay. And is there any cost involved in that?
No. Like if you're going just on a hiking or a trip, no, that's just included.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's just
fantastic. Okay. And so I think we've covered off a lot already. Is there anything else that you think be great for our clients to know about doing Antarctica with Hurtigruten?
Oh, look, I mean, I think it's one of the great things about Hurtigruten is we are such an expert and so experienced in doing this that we really value people's contribution to what they bring to the journey. We're all about a sustainable future in Antarctica, but I think that the quality of the ships and the programs that we offer, I think, is second to none. And I think the ships, particularly Fridtjof Nansen and Roald Amundsen, the two sister ships, when you actually break down and go through the ships and do like the walkthroughs or look at the maps of the ships, and we have a really interesting image of it, sort of dissecting it and what happens on each layer. I think they're fantastic vessels, and I think people will get a lot out of it. I mean, the hardware is one thing, but the experience itself. I think our expedition crews add so much to that experience, and because of their experience, we really, people really get so much out of it with the science and the research projects, but also just the experiences. And what you will see will blow you away. It is like nothing else on the planet, and you will come back just with so many memories and so many photos. That's the other tip. Make sure you take a good camera.
Yeah.
You've got to have a good camera for these destinations. You'll come back with thousands of photos.
I think for me with Hurtigruten, I've been in the industry a long time. I think when brands and businesses have full alignment across their business, and the Hurtigruten has a great history, but it walks the walk and talks the talk with regards to what it stands for, and then what it's actually delivering on and working on long into the future. So, as a travel advisor myself, I feel comfortable that I'm recommending a product or an experience that is the intention there is pure in creating great experiences and doing it in a sustainable way, which I really like. So
yeah, I know, I agree, and I feel the same way. And sustainability is part of our DNA at Hurtigruten, and it means something to us on all the programs we operate around the world. And like I said, with just even the institutions that we're involved in. For example, in Antarctica, we have a very strong allegiance to the University of Tasmania, and there's some more projects that will be coming up with them over the next 12 months. But we genuinely want to give people the best experience with the least impact on the fragile environments that we're traveling to. And we were the first cruise line to implement biofuels as opposed to heavy marine oils. And we did that in 2008. And we're still advocates because there's still cruise lines out there that are using heavy fuel, marine fuel oils. So we're still advocating that across the planet. We're the first operator to ban the use of single-use plastics, and the first cruise line to develop these hybrid power ships. We have a very strong focus as well on communities and supporting local communities. There's not so much in Antarctica, there's not really a lot of communities down there, but somewhere like South America, where we've helped out farmers, or up in the Alaskan villages, we're very involved in those main pillars around the environment, around the impact on nature, and around supporting cultures and communities. So, and there's very clear evidence that we do that regularly, consistently.
Yeah, awesome. So part of why we got Stephen to have a chat with us today is that we've put together a group departure with Hurtigruten next December to take a group of our clients to Antarctica. It's the highlights of Antarctica. We're doing an extra night in Buenos Aires before the experience down to Antarctica. So you get 2 nights in Buenos Aires at the start and a night in Buenos Aires at the end, as well as the wonderful Antarctica Expeditions. So if you do want to know anything more about Antarctica or Hurtigruten, please get in contact with us at Mind and Body Travel. Stephen's only a phone call for us away normally for any questions that we can't answer. And we do have an early bird special out at the moment, $500 saving per person, up to bookings up to 31 October as well. So if Antarctica is something that's on your bucket list and you're itching to tick it off, have a chat to us, because now might be the time that you can really take advantage of that and have something to look forward to in 2024. So Stephen, thank you so much. It's been amazing. I love talking about amazing places and experiences.
My pleasure. If you want me to do it again, I'll have to show you lots and lots of pictures.
Well, we might need some more time for that. So next time. So Stephen, I really appreciate it, and we will no doubt chat to you very soon.
My pleasure. Cheers.
All right, thanks.
Okay, cheerio.